Hello, everybody. Had a little bit of a snafu here. For some reason, I've only been gone a month, but I feel a little out of sorts. And as I went to go on just now, it won't let me do a video in landscape. It's making me go portrait. So I'm kind of bummed about that, but we'll roll with it for today and then figure out what's going on. Julie, maybe you know the issue. I can't be in landscape. When I touch the go live button, it doesn't do anything. It just is like a non-working button. So, but when I switch it to portrait, it's like, okay, we'll record now. So, well, I'm here for today's class. This is our Darling Details bundle for our Technique Time class. And like I said, it's been a while since I have been here. I have been on vacation. I have been heavily involved in a retreat for church. And I have puppies that are hitting 8 weeks on Saturday. So I am up to my elbows in cleaning and feeding. And then we have one special little puppy here that has to be hand fed every day, 3 times a day, and that takes a little while. So that's what I've been doing. I haven't been able to catch up on stamp stuff, so I just finally said, we're gonna start with where we need to be, and that is with the Darling Details bundle. So Julie says, yeah, I've heard others were having some issues too. Who knows, but glad to see you even in portrait. Yes, it's portrait. Okay, so I am going to officially begin because there's a lot to do today. And so I'll begin with good Thursday morning and welcome to Seeing Ink Spot's Backstage Pass. Today's class is Technique Time and we're focusing on the Darling Details bundle. So I hope you guys are going to like that. I'm going to go ahead and flip my camera. Hello, Kathleen. Hello, Julie. I'm going to flip my camera down so that we can begin because we have a lot to cover. So let's see, this is going to be different having you guys in portrait mode here. And I think I'm going to be messed up here because it's going to show, this isn't good. Let's see. So when I turn it, it's going to show the arm of the camera here because I don't have things at the right angle. Okay, but let's see what we've got going. There's the ceiling. Yeah, see, there's the arm of the camera right there. So let's see if we can get that out of the way. Okay, technical difficulties here, folks. But yes, Facebook is doing something different here. So now I have to change my whole setup. Excuse the technical difficulties. Pardon the interruption. I'm just going to completely change this. This is terrible. I don't like this. I mean, now you can't see anything. Okay, so let me scooch this forward. Okay. Okay, we'll do that. My problem is the counter, I don't have enough space. Okay, let's see here. What are we going to do? Totally moving things around. I don't like that at all. All right. We may have to switch to, after this class, we may have to switch to YouTube where we don't have this issue because this is terrible. I mean, that's just crazy. I want to see my whole workspace. So I guess I'll just turn my workspace to, hold on, and we'll just work long instead of wide. Okay. That Facebook, man. They keep changing things up. So stupid. Okay, so today's class is the Darling Details bundle. Coming up, we have next week, I hope to have this class. It depends. I'm having a hard time getting back into the swing of things with puppies and all. They take a little bit of time, but here is our upstyle class for next week on Thursday morning, and we will be upstyling the With Love and Gratitude Paper Pumpkin Kit. Such a pretty kit. So we'll be taking a look at that. And then, so we have just a couple more days to sign up for my Paper Florist Stamp Camp. This is going to be epic. Do not miss it. It's going to be fun. So next Friday night will be our game night, which is always a lot of fun with prizes and a Stampin' presentation. And so I definitely would love it if you guys were there for that Stamp Camp. If you need information, shoot me a comment and I can link you up with all of the details. But that's going to be fun. It's 4 stamp classes. It's 4 presentations, a game night, virtual card swap. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Excuse me. Okay, so now that we have things finally arranged here, I'm going to have to kind of figure out where I had to totally destroy my stamp table here and work in a different configuration. So now, excuse the boarding house reach. My stuff is all way far away from me. But we will make it work, right? We'll just bring this chair over. Use that for my cutter. Okay, so here is today's kit. Today's bundle, like I said, we are featuring the Darling Details bundle and then the Darling Details dies. There's actually 2 sheets of dies in here. And you'll see those throughout today's class, for sure. We are going to make 3 cards, as usual. And let's see here. Let's just kind of open up our kit and see what is all in here. We'll just pull all this out. Okay, we don't need that. So as usual, we have a smalls bag. We'll be diving into that for our different elements that we're going to need. And then I did something just a little bit different this time, and that is I have cut your DSP for you because I wanted to be sure that everybody had similar pieces. And the Masterfully Made DSP, which we're using in this class, has some pages that, you know, they're not the same through the entire 12 by 12 sheet. So anyhow, for our first project, we are going to grab everything from the, and I should actually, I have 2 kits here. This is a complete kit, and I have done my prep work. So hopefully you have seen the prep work, your homework that was posted in the Backstage Pass. It's pinned up at the top. It's featured there, so you can see that. So this one, that's why there are some pieces missing. This one has, you know, I've done all my stamp stuff, but let's use this one. This is a complete one. So if you haven't done your homework, your kit's going to look like this. If you have done your homework, your kit's going to look like the one I just emptied. So let's see here. So as I said, you have a smalls kit. We'll need that throughout today. And then for our first project, we're going to need everything from the Misty Moonlight folded base up. That's what we're going to need for our first project here. Okay, and so for our first project, we have a piece of Misty Moonlight, and it is 4 1/4 by 11, and I have pre-scored it for you, and I'm not exactly sure if I remember what the score lines are, so let's just bring in our trimmer. And if you are making one from scratch and you don't have a kit, your first score line is going to be at, it looks like, let me start on this side. They should be the same, but they're not. So this first one, your first score line is going to be at 2 5/8. Okay, that's your first score line, 2 5/8. Your second score line is going to be, let me get it in there, 4 inches. So 2 5/8, 4 inches. And let me just double check that 2 5/8. Yep, 2 5/8, 4 inches. Then we're going to have 6 1/2. And then this one is going to be 7 7/8. So some weird measurements, but I've done that for you if you have a kit. If not, you can get those. Again, let me just review. 2 5/8, 4, 6 1/2, 7 7/8. Okay, and so here's what we're going to do with these folds. We are going to, with the, we're just going to kind of fold back and forth. So just every other one is going to be just a little bit different here. Okay, so there you have. So you should just have a, you know, mountain, valley, and let's give a score on this. Okay, and let's see, this one we had to put in, because I did some. Now, which ones did I do? Okay, now it's important that we really take a close look at this, because this end is a different size than if we flipped this over and made it this way. Okay, so this narrower section, all right, this narrower section is going to be the bottom of the card. You want this larger chunk here for the top, okay? And so let's look at our pieces of paper that are included in this part of the kit for this card. You have a piece of Masterfully Made DSP, and the back is going to be a solid berry burst, and the front has multiple colors of torn papers. You want the multicolor edge to side to be face up. You have a strip of Melon Mambo. You have a strip of Fresh Freesia. Those three are going to be needed for you to cut your, you're gonna cut some ribbons with those. Then you have some whites here. So let's just pull out all the white. That's gonna be for a frame. You saw that in the homework. There's two that are very, very similar in size here, okay? So one of them is 4 1/4 inches wide, and that's gonna go up here on the top of it. And this one here is going to be a layer. Hold on. I might have said this backwards earlier. Okay, I did say it backwards. Okay. This layer is going to go here. I said this larger section was the top. I was wrong. So we're just like batting 1,000 here. I had to turn everything around at the last second. Thank you very much. And now we're going to turn this around. And we're going to review here. So the smaller section. So let's go back and review real fast. This smaller section is the top of the card, okay? So it folds up like so. And you'll know that that's the right way. So let's just look at these two white pieces here. These two white pieces, one's a little longer and one's a little wider. Let's take the one that's a little wider and let's just glue it in place. And if we do that, I think that will help us not use the wrong thing in the wrong spot. And we're just going to center this. Okay. You would think that I would know exactly what I'm doing. So that piece is going to center in there. So this is the bottom of our card. The card's going to kind of be a fancy fold this way. And then this piece is going to go on top like that. But we're not going to do that just yet because we have lots of other stuff to do. I just wanted to be sure that of these two pieces, you got them in the right spot. Okay? So then the other pieces that you have here in your packet, you have a large piece of basic white. We're going to use this to stamp. So I'll be using that to stamp with. And then these two pieces here, we have a couple squares here. This is a square of the Masterfully Made DSP. I love this print. I think it's really fun. The back is a beautiful Fresh Freesia leaf print. But I want you to take a close look at your piece and notice there's a little bit of text in some of there. You can kind of see it through the flowers. You want to make sure your text is facing the right direction. Just FYI, there is a direction to this paper. So I'm going to glue this one down right now just to have this kind of, we'll glue it in place. And this square piece of white is obviously the layer for this one. Okay, just a classic matte layering with a, you know, 1/4 inch larger in both directions to give us an 1/8 inch all the way around. And then this piece, let's go ahead and glue this one down just so that we have it done and it's a little bit out of the way. It's going to, and what you're going to do is you're going to center it. So it's going on this section right in here. You're going to center it so that you have an even border on the right, the top, and the left. And yes, the bottom is going to hang over. So when you put your glue on for this, what I want you to do is put your glue on this piece here. so that you're not getting glue where it doesn't need to be, because you don't want any glue on the bottom portion of this. And again, make sure your words are going the right direction. I'm just going to kind of flatten this piece out and give myself an even border, and I'm even lining it up with my paper down below. So now I just have that even border all the way around. And now what we have is this piece kind of, when it's shut, it covers all of that, but it cantilevers over like so, okay? That's kind of the fun part of this fun fold. So that's that. So now that we have kind of built the base of our card, now we can start working on the stamping and the designing and having all the fun. And we have these pieces kind of glued in place, and we can set them aside and we won't accidentally use them in the wrong spot. So let's start with this piece here and what we are going to be stamping. Our color palette for this card is going to be our color palette of inks. We're going to use Pumpkin Pie, Lemon Lime Twist, Melon Mambo, and Night of Navy. So I selected, while Pumpkin Pie is not my most favorite color, especially if I'm making flowers and things, this card is totally inspired by the movie Coco, and marigolds are definitely, you know, a big flower that is used for Day of the Dead, for Dia de los Muertos. And so that's why I selected that color. So this is kind of my fun spin on Halloween. So without being like in your face Halloween, this is just a little bit different. So that's why I'm using Pumpkin Pie as my motivating color. So marigolds have inspired this card. So let's stamp our first few marigolds here. And we are going to stamp with the large solid image, and these images are distinctive, so they have a lot of detail to them. They're made up of a bunch of tiny little dots, right, rather than a solid image. And to get the best look out of these distinctive stamps, I'm going to go ahead and pounce my blending brush on the image itself. Okay, what that's going to do is it's going to remove some of that ink, and it's going to just make the distinctive part of it show up all the better. And so I'm just going to stamp this right down in the corner of my page here. Okay, and yes, it is going to be kind of splotchy like that. That is intentional. If you look at the stamp itself, maybe we'll even look at it from here, you can see that there are some highs and lows, and that's what makes it interesting, okay? So there's the first one. Let's do the same thing again. So we have Pumpkin Pie, and I'm going to blot it with my blending brush. Now, the other thing you could do is don't ink up like, you know, directly to the ink pad. You could put all of your ink on with your blending brush, but I didn't do that this time. So here's my second flower. Cool. Now here is the detail image for this flower. Okay, good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Claudia. Thanks for being here. Okay, so there's that. Cool. So it's a subtle look. We'll do some different looks, but this one's going to be a little bit more subtle than having like a really light background and a dark detail image on top. Okay, there is my second one. Now let's do the same thing with the smaller flower. So I'm going to ink up in the Pumpkin Pie, and I'm going to blot, and we're going to just kind of tuck this right down in here. Okay, spreading it out. Here's the detail image for this stamp. So Jacqueline's prepping for her class tomorrow night. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, there's that one there. And let's see, we have some other things we need to stamp. There's so many stamps in this set. I have my blocks have fronts and backs on them. So I'm like, okay, where did I put the leaf image? Here it is. Here is the leaf image, and I'm calling this the kind of the medium. It's kind of a sprig with multiple leaves on it, and we're going to stamp that with Night of Navy. So we're finished with the pumpkin pie for right now. So Night of Navy leaves here. Just tapping that, and we are going to need 3 of these. So I'm just going to kind of wiggle these all into the space here, using all the nooks and crannies. I didn't really do anything. I didn't tap this one just because the images weren't as large. And my Night of Navy probably isn't as juicy as some of my other pads. So it just really depends. This style of stamp, I think, looks best when your ink pads aren't super overly juicy and brand new. Oh, for my Zoom class tomorrow night. Okay, awesome. Awesome, Jacqueline. Fun times ahead. Okay, let's do some of the leaves. So this leaf here, let me show you it on the box. There's this image. There are these 3 that you can kind of mix and match, or, you know, put them all 3 together if you want. So for this leaf, I'm going to do this solid image, and I'm going to do this detail. So we're going to use a lemon lime twist. And let me find, like I said, I have stamps on both sides of my blocks here. And I'm going to ink this up in lemon lime twist. I'm going to take my lemon lime twist blending brush. It's actually for all light greens. And I'm going to pat that just like we've been doing. And we'll stamp this. I'm just going to wiggle this right over here. Okay, there's that one. And I'm going to stamp the detail image. And we'll just layer that right on top. It's a little tricky to 2-step stamp when the phone is right in your, I mean, seriously, the phone cord is hitting my chest. All right, there's that leaf. Thank you, Facebook, for changing things all up. And we're actually going to stamp this one 3 times. So let's do it again. There's my solid image. Here it is. It's not there. Okay. We're going to pat it. And we're just going to kind of sneak these in here where they're going to fit. Just kind of work them around. Like I say, I'm going to have to move over here. The phone is in my face. There's one. Let's ink it up. One more. And we'll put that one right there. Cool. And we'll put the details on top. That one looking good. I really enjoy the way these stamps look. I like solid images, but I like them with more detail like this. That's totally up my alley. I like the texture that it adds. Okay, next ink pad color is going to be Melon Mambo, and we are going to stamp this small floral image. We're going to stamp it 4 times. Okay, so just sneak them into the nooks and crannies because we need 1 more of these flowers that I forgot. So we'll do 4 of those. And let's go back to this one. It's going to be pumpkin pie. Sorry about that. I forgot about the inside flower. Okay, so there's our solid image. Gonna pat it with my blending brush. And we'll add that flower right in there. And stamp the details on top with the same color. Okay, now we have our stamped images ready to be die cut. But I'm going to dive into my smalls bag here, and we're going to use some of the circles that are here in the pack. Let's see. So open your smalls bag, and inside, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. We're going to use the 2 larger circles for this card. Okay, and so these are cut from Basic White, using stylish shapes, and the size on this one is So if you were to cut a 2 3/4 inch square piece of basic white, you'd be able to fit this one across. I don't have my ruler out. Let's see if we can do it this way. It is about 2 5/8. So that's the size circle on that. And then this one here is going across, it's about 2 1/8. So those are the size circles. So I think it's gonna be the second and third of your stylish shaped circles. I don't have those in front of me, so I'm not quite sure. Kathleen says, what colors did you use on your flowers? I had a call and missed it. Okay, so these flowers here, Kathleen, are pumpkin pie. And then the small little baby flowers are, let's see here, melon mambo. Okay, so pumpkin pie and melon mambo. So now with these circles here, we're gonna do just a little bit of stamping with some of the greetings. So I'm going to pull out the greeting that says, and it's this one that I'm tapping the back side. This one says, count me among all the people who are here for you. All right, so we're gonna stamp that one in Night of Navy, and we're going to put it on this smaller one. And I'm gonna pretty much center it, but drop it down just a skosh. Okay, so count me among all the people who are here for you. So there's that. And then on this larger one, we're going to do a little bit more stamping. We're gonna use the hello there, and then we're gonna use the word friend, and we're gonna do it in 2 colors. So the first color we're gonna use is going to be Melon Mambo. And this one is not gonna be centered. We're gonna put this on the upper left of the circle here. So there's the hello there, okay? And then the friend, we're going to stamp with Night of Navy. And we're going to wiggle that friend so that it just kind of hugs the word there. Just like that. Cute. I like having a 2-tone look like that. Okay, we are not quite finished with our Night of Navy pad, but we are done with all of our other colors. So the first thing I want to do, or the last thing I want to do with the Night of Navy, is there are 2 small stamps in the set. There's these 2 leaves right here. So I'm using those for now. And I'm going to pull my card base into play here. And in the corner, I'm gonna do the blue, and I'm gonna stamp the blue off because I don't want it too dark. So I'm stamping the Night of Navy off, and just in the corner, let's see here, this new configuration, thank you, Facebook. I'm just gonna stamp one there. I just gave a huff on it. All right, so I kind of get a 2-tone effect there. And then with the detail, we'll put the detail on this leaf. There. Huff on it again and stamp that one. So we have a couple leaves right there in the corner. Okay, now we have a whole bunch of die cutting that needs to be done. So let's go over our die cuts here. I'm gonna set my card base aside. Set my stamps aside, move my brushes, kind of get it all organized. We'll set these aside. Actually, you know what? This one here, let's go ahead and put this one on just to get it out of the way. So I'm gonna put this on with a couple dimensionals, like so. And this one is going to go, so if here's your card base, this one is gonna kind of come way up here to the top. So centered, but to the top. Looks like I need to move over just a skosh. Okay, so that one, we've got that done and out of the way. And I'm just gonna tuck this one in there for right now, just so I don't lose it. Watch me lose it. That's just kind of the way it goes, right? So now all of these pieces here are going to need to be die cut. So let's now dive into the dies here. So there are, when you get your dies for Darling Details, you'll have 2 sheets. I've kind of mixed mine up from the way they actually had them originally, and I'm missing a die. Got to find it in my stamp room. For this card, we are going to use this border die, and I'm kind of calling this a ribbon die. So even though it doesn't cut this edge, it only cuts the scalloped edge and all of this eyelet detail. So we're gonna take that one. We're gonna use that. We're also going to use this cool frame piece, if I can get it off the magnet sheet. Okay, so this cool frame piece, we're gonna use that. And then of course, all of these flowers and all of the cool elements here, every one of these has a die. So we'll be able to cut all of these out with our dies. So you're just gonna find the matching die and align them, okay? And die cut all your pieces. For time's sake today, just because I'm live and I don't have the chance to chat with you guys, I have done my homework ahead of time. So all of these are already die cut. Okay, so even that has a die. So you have to actually put it through a couple times because you're gonna be using some of those dies over again. But you're going to die cut all of those pieces. Jacqueline is working on her homework now, which is kind of smart because if she's kind of watching, she can see how I'm inking and she can be kind of working on that. And then tomorrow night, she's joining along for Zoom and she'll have all of her pieces prepped. Okay, so die cut all of those pieces. And I will die cut these later today, so I'll have them ready for tomorrow night. Oh, don't come in here and bark. Go outside. Now let's look at some of the die cutting we're gonna do with these pieces here. So the first bit of die cutting you're gonna do on these pieces, you're going to frame this orange back. Jacqueline says, otherwise I can't keep up. That's a smart way to do it. I've never even thought of doing it that way. Okay, so this piece is kind of sized to fit this cute little frame right here. So you're gonna center this. I would suggest putting a piece of Post-it tape on it or a Post-it note, run it through your Big Shot and die cut that one out. And then this one here, you're gonna position this one on the bottom of these papers, like so, and you're gonna die cut the bottom of the Fresh Freesia, the bottom of your Melon Mambo, and the bottom, and I'm gonna pick this lighter edge, and the bottom edge of your Masterfully Made DSP, okay? So you're gonna do all those, and of course I have them done ahead of time, or we would be here forever if we didn't have that already done, but I will die cut those for tomorrow night, have those ready. So let me show you, let's see, that I have those in this other pack already done. Let's kind of just shake all those pieces out. I think that's all of them. Okay, so here's what the frame looks like when you're finished. Now I will say that this is the inside piece of that frame. And I think it's kind of a cool look. It's like, I know it's the negative, but if I were to put a layer on that, look how good that looks too. So keep it. We're not using it in class, but it's kind of a nice little added bonus die cut. So there's my piece for that. And I have all my little hanging pieces popped out. And so this, let's go back to our card base here. And I'm just gonna flip all of this backwards for now. This is going to layer right on here like so. And it's okay if it covers those leaves, that's fine. In fact, that's what I wanted, but I didn't do it that way in my original. So I'm just gonna add just a touch of glue here and there. It doesn't need to be glued like Fort Knox, I say. Just enough to hold it down here and there. And so this is going to center on that bottom flap. It's been cut to fit right inside that. And I just think this is, well, first off, I love the whole movie Coco. I love the thought of, you know, the whole spirit of Dia de los Muertos and remembering our relatives. So, I mean, I just think it kind of has a definite, you know, now that I fold it back, it's starting to bring that feel to life for me, right? Okay, so there's that. And then with these three pieces here, I'm gonna start with Melon Mambo, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue here. And I'm gonna add this piece. So this one's cut for you to just kind of line it right up. And then I was thinking, oh, and I'll just cut this one even shorter and line it right up. But here's what I noticed when I did that. I had a really thick edge inside my card. So you're just gonna kind of have to eyeball it and have some overlaying. And I think that's actually gonna be better. It's gonna feather in the bulk, because when it's all just right there, it was too thick. So hopefully that makes sense to you why I didn't. On my first card, I did do that, and there's a total, I'll show it to you in a second here, why it just doesn't totally work for me, but you can just eyeball that. And look how fun that is. Isn't that just a cool look? All right. So there's that. Now we're gonna take this piece and we're going to glue it. So I'm gonna put glue mostly on this fresh freesia and maybe just a teeny tiny bit on the Melon Mambo. And this is going to come in. Let's see if I can get this. So if you saw, I folded everything back, and I want that Melon Mambo edge to just barely be, that's kind of where that's going. Okay. And so it hangs over just kind of like so. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can kind of see how much blue I have hanging out here. Let's see. It is about 1 3/8 inch down if you're using my, using the kit. It looks like I need to wiggle it this way, just a skosh. Okay, so let me show you on my original. You can kind of see right there. Hopefully you can see all that thickness right in there, because all these 3 pieces end right there, and it was making it really bulky right through there. So I think this is a better addition, because then this piece is going to come on top and cover that, and now it's kind of feathered in, and yeah, it's a much smoother transition. But before we put that piece on, we're going to take this and we're going to do just a little bit of, give it a little bit of background here. And so I'm going to use my lime green, my lemon lime twist, and I'm not even going to re-ink this. I'm just going to use what's in here. And if it's not enough, I can always add more, but I am just going to add a soft green haze to my card without going to the edge, because I do want some of the white to show. This is just a subtle touch. Okay. And the reason I'm not catching the edge is because if I catch the edge, what happens is you kind of get a harsh line right there on the edge, and I don't want that. I just kind of want the softness of the green. Okay. So I really, really like how that turns out without even re-inking. Sometimes when we re-ink, it leaves those really harsh mars and those kind of like too blotchy. This is great. You can always add more ink, but you can't take it away, right? So there's that. Now we can glue this into place. And this is designed to fit just right over all of this. It's going to go all the way to the top, and it'll cover all your mechanics. Okay, beautiful, so cool. So now as this is kind of coming together, you can see the fold up here, and that as it folds, it closes shut to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it fits that standard size envelope, but it's kind of a fun fold, and we can look at things that way. So you could sign here. You could also add more spots of white cardstock if you wanted. You could even add pockets back here and do some fun things, but this is kind of a fun fold, fun little spin on things. Now we'll take the this here. We're going to add this to our layers with dimensionals, and I'm just going to throw 4 on here just to keep things balanced. This is just a back. Gee, okay. Ugh. And this is just a back. Okay, well that we don't want. It's never going to give us dimension, just the back, right? Okay, Kayleen is watching. Great to have you here. Okay, so now these are ready. And this one, instead of centering it, we are going to position this one. It's going to come down just a little bit, and it's over here on the left side, just like so. Now, with all of our die cut pieces, right? I have my little tray here. So this is my tray for class today. I have all three of my cards kind of separated. So I like to start with the two larger flowers because they're kind of the anchor points in adding everything, and they're going to kind of go in this area. But what I want to do is, as I bring them in, I'm going to use dimensionals, but some of them might have to have a second layer of dimensional because of where they land on the circle. So this is going to be a 1 dimension layer, and way over here on this side, I'm going to make it be a 2 stack. So we got a Big Mac over here because it's going to come in there just like so. Okay. And then this one here, I'm going to put a single right in here, and I'm also going to put a single down here, but I'll have a leaf under there that will be, so as we come in here, we're going to use one of our leaves. We're going to attach this one. Oh, I should have attached it before. Oh, that's okay. I'm just going to attach it on the leaf. So my dimensional there is holding it on, but now I'm going to put a dimensional here. Okay, so that's going to give me my 2 layers to get in there. Okay, so let's just add these to the card. Kayleen loves her trays. Yeah, I do too. It helps for just kind of sorting and, bringing everything together. Okay, so this first marigold, even though it's not really a marigold, it is in my imagination for this card, is going to frame the D of the word friend. Okay. Jolinda. So she says tinier is better. Tinier is better. Okay, you have to explain because I just caught the comment. So I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh, thinner is better on this. Is that what you're talking about? If that's what you're meaning, yes, I totally agree. Okay, so now my other marigold can come in here. Perfect. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Now with this particular leaf here, I'm actually going to do a little trim job here and separate this. And I'm just going to add these 2 right in here. So I do that because sometimes I just don't want it to be, with something like this image, it's very, you can tell, I just wanted it to look a little bit more organic rather than having this same image is why I kind of trimmed it. And I got my dimensional hanging out, so I had to cut some of it away. Okay, so there's that one there. And then these will go to the navy ones, and I'm going to switch to mini dimensionals here. Got my minis out, and I'm going to put one on the bottom. And we're going to tuck this one way down in here. Okay, and let's see, number 2. These other 2 are going to kind of be side by side down at the bottom over here. So I'm going to have one, and I'm going to tuck it behind. It's going to be right about there. And then this last one is going to kind of come in right in there. So again, I'll use a mini. And my original, I did it on top. I think I'm going to do this one underneath, just because of the way I have my dimensionals working for me now. Okay, there's that. Now the 4, oh, sorry, we still have one of these to go. Let's do this one here. And it's going to just kind of tuck under and be part of this grouping. Now for these 4, well, that's that side. I'm just kind of flipping them over. Let's pull out all 4 and put minis on all of these. 1. So I've been doing a lot of stamping one-handed. So, lately. You should have seen me yesterday because I was holding the puppy that has a throat problem and trying to run things through the Big Shot. Very interesting. I managed to do pretty good. So I'm going to stick one kind of back in there. Oh, I hear. So I just, sorry for the delay here for a second. I can hear in the background. So we have 8-week-old puppies and we have puppies that are just a few days old. And it's screaming. I'll be right back. What's the matter? Oh, you're smashing her. Okay, folks. It's a good thing I went and checked. We had a teeny puppy. They're only about this big. She was getting smashed and she was screaming. So it's a good thing I went and checked because she couldn't have gotten out. Yes, we do have a full house here. So there's 3 on the front and then this last one is going to go right there. Okay, so on that last little layer right in there. That's where that goes. So, but we need to add some more stuff to this. Now that we have our stamped items are all added, our die cuts are all added, we have to add our embellishments. So this card is going to get the linen thread. And then these are the 2022-2024 in color pearls. And this pack of pearls, you guys, you get Orchid Oasis, Starry Sky, Sweet Sorbet, Tahitian Tide, and Parakeet Party. But I think they just work perfect with this paper. I mean, I dropped it down and they almost even disappeared. But the colors really are great for this masterfully made DSP. So for this particular card, we are going to use the Parakeet Party and we're going to use the Sweet Sorbet. So the Sweet Sorbet are going to go, and there's 4 of them. You have 4 of them in your pack there. They're going to go on the flowers here. Oh my goodness. Oh, we've got a screaming puppy again. Let's see if it stops. If it doesn't, I have to go run, make an adjustment. So the reason I don't know if you've ever had, little teeny puppies. Mama can't always feel that they're underneath her in the wrong way. And so the first night they were born, we had 5 and one of them died. And so I'm not quite sure if Livy accidentally just crushed it or if it just, I don't know. Anyhow, yeah. And I'm right there by them. Their whelping box is right next to my bed. And so, I mean, I'm up quite a few times a night making adjustments because they're crying. But that one didn't make any noise. So, anyways, I kind of have to keep my ear on them. Okay, so I'm just tying my bow here. And I don't really like my bow. But anyhow, we're gonna go with it. So I'm gonna take my bow here and add a glue dot. So now you just have way too much information about what's going on here at the Price House about doggies. But yeah, one with a throat problem and one, yeah, poor little thing, was a little boy. Okay, so that's where I'm going to add my linen thread, but I'm going to pull my tails up, kind of center them and pull them up and even them out. And then I'm just going to kind of work them through the card and get them kind of hanging in the direction that I like. And I like it that way. Okay, so save your pearls. We're going to use all of those on our next few cards. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, she's in the house, making an appearance for the first time in a month. Wink of Stella. Kathleen says, I like your tray for your die cuts. Okay, so those trays, I find them in the school section of the Dollar Tree. And I have about 6 of them here. So I am adding some Stella to the marigolds and company, a little bit here and there. Just have some fun with emphasizing them just a little bit more. there you have it. Oh, you guys, we are not done. I forgot the inside. The inside. We have flowers that go on the inside. So you still have a leaf and another little partial flower here. And so let's put these on. This time I'm going to turn this way. And that's how I'm going to arrange this. And so I think what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to put a dimensional there. That way it's kind of being a twofer. It's holding my flower and leaves together, and it's acting as a dimensional. Okay. Yes, Kathleen. Yeah, if you're to a Dollar Tree, see if you can find them. All right, and this is going to just layer right in there like that. What I like about it is it just kind of finishes the flow, and then we kind of come back this way for the end here. And let's do just a little bit. We can't leave this one out since I almost forgot it. There we go. And there you have our first fun fold. All right, it's our only fun fold today. We have some cool things going on, but this is our fun fold class, our card for today's class. Let's get it all in there. Using the Darling Details, mixing it with the Masterfully Made to give it a little bit of a nod to Coco, right? But I will share with you. So my sweet friend, Julie Beltramo, I said, can you send me a skeleton? Because I didn't have this paper. So she die cut me, I just asked for a skeleton and she sent me several. But look how fun this is if you want to take this and just kind of make it, you know, a little bit, you know, if you really wanted to go for it and make it a little bit more of a nod to Dia de los Muertos. So maybe change up the greeting, whatever you want to do. But I thought it was kind of a fun mix. And let's see, there's another skeleton in here. I was going to see, there's a white one in there. I really kind of liked this one that had the orange bones, dem bones. Look, you can do a dog. And here's here's a white skeleton as well. And that's kind of fun. But I really kind of like this color. So that's why I did, there's a dimensional on the back there. Yeah, is doing it kind of with or without. So just some fun. That's the Dem Bones paper, and I think it's back in stock. I can't remember. Kayleen would know. All right, so there is our first card. There was my original off to the side, giving me guidance, showing me what to do. Our second card, this second card is what I'm going to call, and I'll bring it out and show it to you. This is what I call just kind of a classic layers kind of card. You know, there's nothing gimmicky about this one. Kayleen says it's back in stock. Awesome. So when I say classic layers, that is that I've cut a 4 by 5 1/4 inch mat, and then we have a layer of DSP on top, and then that same mat size is on the inside of the card, and it just makes for when you get yours finished, you'll feel that it just has a nice weight to the card, a nice finished weight, and it's just kind of, this is just kind of pretty. And this is a color combination, folks. I would never, ever, ever think to do, but it's all been, inspired by the Masterfully Made DSPs. So here's our color combination. We have Lost Lagoon, Fresh Freesia, Pretty Peacock, and really the star of this show is a very strong, vivid, intense color, Blueberry Bushel and Berry Burst. These are like in your face, but I really think the Masterfully Made DSP is kind of it's got a lot of, there's a lot of intensity and vibrancy to it. So that's where we're going to be color-wise for this card. Let's look at the pieces that you're going to need. We go to my stack papers here. So you have a piece of Berry Burst, and that is to die cut. We'll talk about that later. You have 2 pieces of 4 by 5 1/4 of white. Both of these, one's for the inside layer and one is for matting in the front. Then you have a piece of Masterfully Made DSP. Again, watch that there's text on this paper, so you want to make sure you've got it facing the right direction. Then you have a larger piece of white. This will be for stamping. I'll set that aside. And then your card base. So your card base is Bubble Bath. The rest of this we will use in a minute. Okay, so let me just set this aside. Let's start with our front layers here. So let's just start, let's add our white. Okay, and this white piece from your kit is 4 by 5 1/4. Make sure you've got the right piece. Okay, is it 4 by 5 1/4 or did I do it? Yeah, it's 4 by 5 1/4. Because sometimes I'll do it and I'll do it like 4 1/8. And I'll kind of change it up a little bit. So this one's going to layer on your Bubble Bath card front. And then this one is 4 by 6. So we're gonna be doing some work on this. So what I wanna do is I wanna emphasize these torn edges here. So you probably don't see it in photos, but in real life, let me see if you can see it. I actually did tear this apart and I reassembled it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're going to tear right here along this Bubble Bath edge. Just tear the paper, okay? And then we're gonna tear it again. You have to make sure you tear it in the right direction. So I've just flipped it over and done the same thing on this side. All right, and I'm just kind of following their guide, their lead, and that one will go there. And now let's do the same thing. And you just kind of pick which line you want to do. I think I'll do this one. I'll kind of run my thumbnail along it. So I'm going to do this one. Okay, and now I can't remember if this was the top or the bottom. It goes here. So that one's going to go there. And then we'll do the same thing here. And I think I'm just going to follow it. Just pick one. It doesn't really matter. And so that one's going to go there. And then if you want to do, maybe I'll do one more. I'm going to do this bottom one. I just have to remember, oh, it's a bottom one. Okay. So that one's gonna go there, and then this one goes on top. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is just reassemble the pieces. So I'm just gonna pick up these top two first. And so I'm going to add, I want this white edge to show because that's kind of what they've done in the paper. So I'm gonna do just a teeny bit of glue right along the edge, and you don't need a ton. Give yourself a little bead of glue there. And now just put it back together. And I'm overlapping a little bit. Doesn't have to be exact. We're gonna trim up the sides, but you can see I've overlapped a little bit. Hopefully you can see, because then that way I can go in and emphasize this. Let me make sure it's dry. But what I mean by emphasizing it is if you take your, I'm gonna use my take your pick tool and just kind of get in there and just kind of, you know, rough these up a little bit. Once you get it going, you can kind of just get your fingernails in there too. And just accentuate those torn edges. Okay, so we'll keep working. Here's my next piece, is this large piece here. So again, we'll add a bead of glue. Okay, a little bit of glue, then overlap. Like I say, it's okay if you overlap because this is a 6-inch piece of DSP that I've given you. And so it'll be plenty. We only need not 5 1/4, we need 5. I think I did 5 1/8. So I didn't do a true 1/4 inch. But if you want to get in there, kind of give those a little bit of, crunch the edges a little bit more. Okay, a couple more to go here. Trying to remember which order they went in. It's this one next. Okay, so now I want to, so this one, it's not going to go on top. This one's going to go underneath because remember we did some from the bottom and some from the top. But I can tell because I want this white edge to show. So that's how I know. Okay, a little bit of glue. And we'll put this back on, line it up, and let's do this one. Same thing, that's a raw edge, not a white edge, so that's where I'm gonna put my glue. That back on. Okay. And we have one last one. Okay, and we'll add that one. And hopefully, we haven't made it too small. Okay, we're good. Just double checking. Trying to get it straight. Okay, so now we can kind of come in and play with some of those edges that we haven't emphasized just yet. Oh, this one I can't even get to. But yeah, just get your fingernails in there and just kind of, and if you can't get it in because you have too much glue, just use this. That'll help you get into it. Okay, I'm almost there where I think I like it. Just a little bit more right here. You can see the glue on my little spatula end. Okay, so now we've just emphasized that paper. Just brought it to real life, to real 3D. So now what I want to do is actually trim it. And I'm going to trim a little bit off of each edge because you can kind of see here I'm getting a little bit wonky right there. But let's just butt this in here and go carefully and go slowly. Okay, that cleans up that side nicely. And I'm just going to flip this over and we'll do the same thing, clean up this other side. So in total, I want it to be 3 7/8, but it's a little curvy here. So if I've got that straight, okay, I'm gonna do something a little different here. I'm gonna, because this edge is now straight, the others are kind of a little not square, so I'm gonna square up my paper. And so I'm just gonna take this edge off. And now we'll come around and now things are more square on these two sides. So I want this to be 3 7/8 inches wide. So again, I'm going slow through all those little cuts in there. Oops, I've got some paper left in the groove. And now my last cut, I want this one to be 5 1/8. And we're just about there. Okay, and that will give us a little bit of a narrower border here rather than that traditional 1/8 inch all the way around. Now we have like a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. Okay, so just look at your words though and make sure that they're facing the right direction, which I think mine are. Maybe. Okay. And we will put this one down. Classic layers is what I like to call that. And I like to use green cap glue so that I can wiggle things around and get it layered just so. Okay, looking good. So there is the base of our card, just doing things a little bit different. Now let's turn to our stamping. And so we'll stamp very similar to the way we just did. Although this time, all of our images, all of the first layer of color is going to be, I'm gonna move my ink pads that we're not using out of the way. You're gonna want your cleanup pad here and a scratch paper. So first, I've got to clean my images because we've got all kinds of different colors going on here. So I'm just giving a quick buzz through the cleaner pad. I think that's all of them that we need to do. This one too. Okay, so there's that. Now let's grab some scratch paper because we are going to be stamping off all of the solid first layer images. So the first thing we're gonna do, I always kind of like to start with that anchor image or anchor flower, and that's gonna be our larger floral here. And so this is Berry Burst that I am using. So I'm twisting and I'm tapping. I am not pushing into the pad. I am letting the weight of the block touch the pad. And now I'm gonna stamp off. Okay, look how good that looks. Super fun. But we're gonna go for second generation on this. So there's that. And now we'll go full strength Berry Burst on top. So if you remember last time we kind of patted it and made it look slightly different and we went for a more tone on tone. Now this definitely has a much stronger variation in color. Okay, so we're gonna do one of those. Then we're gonna do 3, and I'm gonna close up Berry Bushel for now. We're gonna do 3 Blueberry Bushel. Did I say Berry Bushel? Berry Burst. So we're gonna do 3 of I call them kind of half flower. So stamp off first, stamp on your paper, ink up, stamp off, stamp on your paper, ink up, stamp off, stamp on your paper. And now we'll do the detail image in Blueberry Bushel. I was gonna say Blueberry Burst. There's that. I really love when you stamp off how you can see all those little dots in that more solid first layer of stamping. But cool. Cool, cool. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, that's it for Blueberry Bushel for right now. We still have to do the inside. But let's turn to Lost Lagoon. And Lost Lagoon, we're gonna do some leaves and the stem. And so that's not the stem I want, it's this one. This long, narrow stem. Okay, this is gonna be in Lost Lagoon, and we're gonna do 2 of those. Okay, easy enough. And we're going to do the sprig. Remember this, I called this the sprig leaf. We're gonna do that in Lost Lagoon as well. We're gonna do 2. 1 and 2. And now we're going to do the larger, what I call like the 3 leaf. Only this time we're going to do it different than we did on the first card. Here is the solid image, and I'm actually going to do this in Pretty Peacock. And Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon, when you stamp Pretty Peacock off, it kind of looks like Lost Lagoon, but it is slightly different. But I'm going to do Pretty Peacock. I'm going to stamp off. Okay. So see, it does kind of look a lot alike, but it is a little different. And now this is the line art image going around this Pretty Peacock leaf. Cool, I like that. I like it a lot. And I have the little leaf that we did before in navy. We're gonna do that in Pretty Peacock, so stamp it off. And we'll do that twice. That's Pretty Peacock, looks a lot like Lost Lagoon. It is a little bit bluer. And there's Pretty Peacock full strength on top of both of those. And we have a couple more. This little shape we haven't used just yet. So this is gonna be Pretty Peacock. We're gonna do 2 of these, a 1 and 2. And then there's another image in the set. It's this little pairing right here. And it's kind of like you know, some sort of a flower bud of some sort. So I'm gonna stamp these in fresh freesia, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna ink up the first image, the solid image, and stamp off. And we're gonna stamp it, and it's pretty light because it's fresh freesia. Okay, and now we'll do the detail image right on top in full strength. Lovely. Okay, so once you have all of that, then it's time to get your die cuts out, your dies, so that you can cut out. Get that, my paper has got glue on it. And let's look at the things we'll be die cutting for this project. So you're gonna need that piece of Berry Burst and then this piece here. And so this is gonna be just like the first card. You're gonna go in and line up all of your dies and cut out all your pieces. All of these pieces have a matching die in the Darling Details dies, okay? All of them. I've lost that one. I'm so bummed. I'm gonna have to dig through my room and find it. All right, we haven't used these just yet, but I love these. These are kind of, you know, just some lacy dies. You're gonna cut this one twice, so you're gonna need 2 of those, and then this guy once. So you'll do one, and then move it down and do a second one. So that is all of the die cutting you're gonna need to do for this card, okay? So I'll just set those aside. I have mine done, so you don't have to sit there and watch me do all of that. That would be super boring. So here are my pieces. I'm just gonna get them out. They are all here. All right, so let's start to assemble a few of these pieces. Well, first off, I can see a few hanging on. We'll poke those out. But I wanna grab that bud and then this little stem. So we're gonna glue those together. And you know, it doesn't really matter if you do it up, down, sideways, or whatever. It's kind of a fanciful image, and it's whatever you want it to be. It's not, you know, I don't see it like having gravity or anything. Why is my full screen view just 6 inches across on my big desktop, flanked by 10 inches of black on each side? So Jolinda, at the very beginning, I could not get Facebook Live when I had my camera in portrait mode, in landscape mode. When I had it in landscape mode, the button to turn on to go live, it was dead. Nothing would happen. And I signed off and did it again. And it was just a mess. And so and Julie Beltramo had mentioned, she goes, yeah, other people have been having problems as well. So I'm kind of bummed. We're gonna have to figure that out. But I'm not liking being in portrait mode. And so what you don't know is that the phone is literally right up against, I had to turn everything. I was set up and had to turn everything, and the phone is like right in my nose. The cord is hitting my chest. Yeah. We like to keep it real here, folks. It's a live a live event. Okay, this long stem, I'm just gonna do a little bit of glue here. And I'm gonna give this flower a little bit of a stem. We're gonna do that to 2 of these. So there's a stem, and then I'm gonna take these leaves, and I'm actually gonna glue the leaf in back on one of these. So I'll do just a little glue right here. You thought it was your iPad? No, it's Facebook is playing with us. Okay, so I've got this leaf is kind of coming from the back. Okay, and then hopefully I can get the front. Yeah, that's kind of cute. So it's coming from the back and then a little bit from the front, just giving us some dimension here. We'll let that glue set up. And let's do the same thing. I have been challenged lately, but I take it like a pro. So you guys, Jolinda would know this because I know she's done a lot of performing, but you know, there's nothing like a live performance to keep it, to keep you on your toes. And I have done some operas where it was just like, could anything else go wrong? And yeah, definitely you're like, I hope I never have to do a performance like that again. So this one, you know, that one I did one to the side that way. This one I'm going to do this one kind of this direction. Just kind of changing the leaves a little bit. You flare it out a little. And then I'm going to move that, wiggle that to the front like so. Okay, we'll kind of let that set. So I had one way and one the other. So those are ready. Got all my pieces ready. Oh, I can see I have some bits and things hanging on here. So let me just poke all this out. I should have done this ahead of time. I know I haven't done all the poking out on my next card, but I'm just going to leave them there. And I'll poke them out later because there's a whole bunch of them. Sometimes they come right out and sometimes they stick to your plate, and you know, so that plate kind of pulls them out for you, and sometimes they hang on. And these hung on. They look like little mini fleas, little berry burst fleas. Okay. All right, so now I have my pieces ready. I have one bit of stamping that I need to do. And so I'm gonna bring out my Versamark pad, my embossing buddy from the Embossing Editions tools, and my white embossing powder. And we're going to, in our smalls bag, we're gonna take out that little banner here. And this banner is Pretty Peacock. I used the Stylish Shapes dies to cut that banner. And we're gonna stamp that with Just a Note. So here's my Just a Note image. We're gonna stamp that using Versamark. But first, I'm gonna take my embossing buddy and give this a good layer of rosin there. But then I have to wipe it all off because I hate the feel of it. Okay, and we will take our image, which is Just a Note, and same thing, I'm going to just, on my Versamark pad, I'm just kind of twisting and tapping. I'm not shoving it in there. And now I'm going to place this right in the center of my banner. Hopefully, it looks good. Cool, I think it's looking pretty good. And I should have brought my reverse tweezers from the Embossing Editions tools, but I didn't. And I'm just dunking my tag here, my banner, in that. Okay. And I'm going to use my plate here underneath me. And I have my heat tool here, so here comes the noise. There's that, just like that. Looks good, looks good. We'll get my very warped plate out of the way. Okay, now put this all away. And I store this right like this. These three items together, I just kind of leave them that way. Leave my Versamark upside down so it doesn't dry out. Okay, so now, let me get my ink pads out of the way here. And let's work at assembling our card front here, making sure I'm up and down the right direction. Got one more little hanging on piece. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my greeting here. That's gonna be my anchor element that helps me to know where I'm gonna put other things. And I'm gonna put this on with dimensionals. Okay, I'm not peeling the backs just yet. I'm just gonna kind of rough things in so that I spatially have things in the right spot. Okay, so that's kind of right about in there. I'm gonna do, let's do this. Let's kind of do what we did on the last card. I'm gonna take this little leaf trio piece here and add it to my flower, just like so. And I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna do a twofer here. I'm gonna use my dimensional as an adhesive to hold my leaves and flowers together, and at the same time, there you have it. Okay, so that's gonna kind of come in here like so. And let's see, these two flowers here. So it's almost like as I'm kind of putting things together, even though this is banner, I almost kind of felt like this was almost even like a flower box in a way. So I have one there. And I have one kind of coming out here. This one, I'm actually gonna clip it a little bit. Take some of that off. Okay, and really tuck it down in there, get it a little lower. So those are going in there, kind of like that. Again, just kind of roughing this in. I'm gonna put a dimensional on the back of this. It's getting it ready. And it's going to tuck in and about here. We have a bud there. And then I have an extra bud that I didn't use on my original card, but I sometimes just kind of want a second one just in case. So that's why I had you make a second one. You never know if you're gonna need it. So those are the two sprigs, and then this is the grouping piece, the little, get those things out of there. And this one is gonna kind of come in and we're gonna use that in there. This comes out a little further. And then this other bud, if we feel like we need it, kind of can come in there. And then we have these leaves, and I'm gonna put minis on the two leaves here, and they're going to tuck. We'll use those to kind of fill in any negative space that we feel may need just a little bit of design element, if that makes sense. You know, you have to have a few extras on hand. Okay, so I'm kind of liking where things are going. Here's my original. So let's just kind of start with the banner. And it looks like in my original, I'm taking it all the way over to the very edge there. So you bring this in, get that all the way over to that edge. And this one's a lot lower, so I'm gonna place this one. I think I'm gonna end up cutting this one apart because I want it lower. So I've just trimmed it off a little bit. And this one's gonna come right in there. And it doesn't have a dimensional on just yet. So let me do that. Looking at that one, of course I'm running into, okay. And then this flower, or stem rather, is coming up the back right in there. Kind of like that. So now I just need to glue that. I'll do it with a dimensional. Okay. Kind of tuck that in there. Make sure your dimensional doesn't show. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to attempt this one. Put a dimensional on the back of that. And we'll bring that, kind of get it behind there a little bit. Yeah. And I'm not going to push that down just yet. I'm going to add a little bit of glue, give myself a little bit of, you know, just make sure I can kind of lift that up so that I can ease that into spot right there. Now I'm good to kind of push that down. So there are those two. Now let's kind of work on the bottom here. Okay. And, all right, so this one, what I've done is see the descender of the N, the beginning of the N. I'm gonna have that dive into where this flower, these two, kind of into the nook of that, right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna put this one in, kind of set it in here. It's gonna kind of come in here, and we'll use our dimensional. And I'm going to use my dimensional and this flower to kind of hold that in place. Okay, easy enough. And let's do a mini on this bud. And it's going to just kind of come from right in there. Cute, cute, cute. All right, let's kind of finish up this side, even things up. Okay, there is hair on my glue. And my glue is getting a little bit dried out on the tip, so I just have to kind of pull those mocos off. Okay, and this one, let's kind of come in here. And I'm giving a little push down here so that I can get that glue that was on that tip to engage. Okay, so I have my little leaves here. And so I do have a leaf coming here. And we have a leaf up in here. Okay, and I think I will use this one to kind of fill that area right in there. Grabbing a mini dimensional here. And we'll just tuck this one kind of right there. So my original doesn't have it, but that's okay. Okay, so for the front of this card, we are going to do as before and just give some, and I'm brushing the Wink of Stella on, you know, the shape of the, so like these are petals, so I'm kind of drawing it out, but this one is more like fluffy, so I'm kind of circling it. Same with this one. Okay, so we'll just get these kind of, give them a little bit of zhuzh, and we can give a little bit of a flick as well. But I do want to add some of the festive pearls here. They're not festive pearls, these are in color pearls. And I'm gonna use this darker Starry Sky color. And I'm gonna use all 4 on the front here. I'm gonna do 1. And we'll do a couple in here. Here's 1 and 2. And then we'll do this last Starry Sky right up in here. Nothing like doing it way out of the view of the camera. Okay, so there is the front. I think it's kind of fun and festive. Now we need to add a little something to the inside here. So let's see what we're gonna stamp. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna bring my scratch paper back into play here so that we can bring in our 4 by 5 1/4 piece. And so let's use Blueberry Bushel. So Blueberry Bushel, we'll use do our flowers the same way we did before. And that is to ink up, stamp off, and then I'm going to kind of stamp this right off the edge of the paper. So there's 1, stamp off, 2, and I'm gonna wait for that 3rd one. I'm gonna stamp the greeting. Oh, they're a mess. I'm gonna stamp the greeting before I come in here and stamp the last flower. But before I even stamp the greeting, I'm going to stamp more leaves. So let's do Pretty Peacock. The dogs are charging outside to bark at something. So here's Pretty Peacock ink. It's kind of not in the camera here. Here's Pretty Peacock, stamp off. And I'm gonna do 1 kind of leaf right here. There's that. And we'll stamp off, and I have a couple over here. 1 and 2. And I'm gonna wait for the other leaf and flower until I stamp the greeting. There's that. And that. Okay, so there are those. Can you guys hear those dogs barking outside? Okay, we need Blueberry Bushel back in here to stamp the details. Oops, I kind of didn't stamp very well right there, but that's okay. It's a happening. It's okay. There's that. And now the greeting. And I'm going to stamp thank you in there with Berry Burst. And I'm just going to kind of wiggle it right in there above the leaf. And now it kind of feels like it was, you know, meant to fit up just that way. So here's my last flower, stamp off, And now you can kind of frame your thank you. Okay, blueberry bushel detail image. And now let's do one little leaf over here on this guy, and that's gonna be in peacock. I have all these open pads, you guys. Here is Pretty Peacock, and we'll do the leaf in Pretty Peacock. Just stamp off, because that's kind of been our theme for this card, is to stamp off and then use the same color full strength. Okay, easy enough. There is our inside. Lovely layer there. So if we bring our card in, this is going to, and I'm just going to give this a quick little fan. Let it dry before sometimes with these darker colors, like blueberry bushel, they sometimes will smear. And I must have pink somewhere because there's a little bit of pink right there. Okay, so now we can give this a, glue it down. And we'll just center this. Just nice and easy, right? Cool, and there you have it. Just a classic layers card that visually I think is full and fun, but it physically has a nice weight to each side. Sometimes the fronts can get a lot heavier than the backs. So adding this layer in there is a nice finishing detail, but it also is a nice weight. Okay, so there is that. That's card number 2, done. Now let's move on. I love this card, you guys. This card is fun. I don't know if you noticed it in the pictures. I tried to show it in a picture this way, but this is kind of a frame type card. And so we're going to use this larger frame die from the Darling Details to make it happen. And so here's what we're gonna do. Let's go to our stack of supplies. And let me see, let me grab the right stack of supplies. Well, that one's done. So we're gonna go to this one here. So let's just pull. We have everything from basic white up will be for this card. Then behind the basic white, you have a few more pieces of the Masterfully Made DSP. So I was just kind of, giving you guys some extras. You can use those on other projects, a little bonus. We're not using those for anything, but I usually do give you a big, kind of a collection of them. But anyhow, those are some that I thought you might have some fun with. So these are the pieces that you're going to need for this particular card. It's a basic white card base. It's thick basic white. It's 4 1/4 by 11. You have a 1/4 sheet of basic black. Then you have a scrap of basic black, which you actually don't need because you'll be able to use the inside of your frame. And you do have a piece of the Masterfully Made DSP, and this is the side we're going to use. Again, watch what you're doing because there's some text in here, and so that's how you'll know if you're facing the right direction. You have a piece of black and white 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch gingham ribbon. So that is what we're using for this card. And so let's just start with our die cutting. So this frame piece here, hold on just a second. I'm going to start to I need a drink. Excuse me, I had to wet the back of my throat. Okay, you're going to take this frame piece and you are going to do your best at centering this. And you're going to die cut it. And so what I do when I'm centering is I look at this corner and I line that up, and I'm lining this corner up. So I'm throwing the corners in there, trying to make sure they're all kind of in the same spot. Then I'm looking for even edges. Now you can get out and measure if you want, but I can see I need to move over a little, but I don't. I just go for it. So you're going to tape that down with your Post-it tape and run it through your Big Shot, and you're going to have something like this. Okay, so there's my frame that I have pre-cut, and that will be the start of our card. Okay, and as I said, I've given you a piece of black, but I was kind of silly because here is what pops out of this frame, and look, it's almost the same size. And from this piece, or this piece, you're going to cut 2 of this one. So you could see this would have easily fit there. Kind of silly on my part. Okay, so there's 2 of those. You're gonna die cut those. Okay, they could be from that piece or from the inside. So die cut yourself 2 of those. And you're gonna use this frame 1 more time. So there's my first frame. Your next frame is going to be for your card base here. Open up your card base, and you're gonna do the exact same thing you did on the quarter sheet, only this time you're gonna do it on the front of your card base. You're gonna eyeball center, get it as good and straight as you can, tape it down with that Post-it tape and run it through, okay? And I'm going to do this one because I do need the center of that to stamp my elements for this card. So it's funny, I did it for this, but I didn't do it for that. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm just going to kind of line this up the best I can. And this is what I mean by that Post-it note tape. Okay, I'm using that to hold it down, especially if you have warped plates like I do. They have a tendency to move around. So let's run this one through. My Big Shot, not my Big Shot, my Stampin' Cut and Boss machine. It's way over here, sorry folks. But I'm gonna run that through. Hold on folks, it sounds like I have a puppy in distress again. Who's crying out there? I can't tell if they're just whining to come in or what's going on. Oh, it's the little boy dog. I should show him to you. He's so cute. Okay, so here comes my card base here, and it's this center section that we're going to stamp on, okay? So here we go. There's our card base. Here's this. So much to do, but let's do our stamping. We don't have a ton of stamping for this card, but let's do this one and see what it is we're doing. Color-wise, let's see what the color palette's going to be. It's going to be Fresh Freesia and Lost Lagoon. Can you hear that puppy? That's one of them that's almost 8 weeks old. His name is Michael. So I'm going to use Lost Lagoon, Fresh Freesia, Pretty Peacock. I don't know why I'm shutting them. I'm shutting them so I can show them to you. There's that. And we're going to bring in Tuxedo Black Memento. Now, you could use Jet Black Stays On if you wanted, or you could use, you know, whatever black ink you have. I'm not coloring, you know, I'm not watercoloring, I'm not blending, so it's really optional. Okay, so stamp-wise, what we're going to stamp for this one, we're going to stamp the smaller flower. So we're going to be using this one as our focal point. But we have blue ink, so we got to get rid of that. So cleanup pad. Get those a little cleaner than what they are. And we're just kind of giving things a quick clean. I'm trying to think if there's any others. I think it's, oh, I know. The other image that we're going to need is the trio leaf image. There it is. Okay, so now I have my images cleaned. I have my ink pads, have my die cuts. So now let's do some stamping on this page here. And so the first card we kind of dabbed everything off. The second card we stamped off. For this card, we're going to do full strength color with a black detail on top. So let's start with Fresh Freesia. And Fresh Freesia, look, I've got a whole bunch of blueberry bushel right there on that. And I really don't want that to get into my Freesia ink pad. So on my cart here, I have some wipes. And I'm just going to come in there and get rid of that. Good. Much better. And I think this one kind of has the same deal. That blueberry bushel is just nice and still pretty new. Pretty juicy. Okay. Much better. So now, Fresh Freesia, we're going to stamp 2 of these. So we need 1 and 2. Now let's do the detail on top, and we'll do the detail in black. There's 1. Such a cute little image. I love this little half flower. Has such variety that you can do with it. Okay, so now let's do the leaf image, and we're going to do that in Lost Lagoon. Let me take Frisia out of the way here. Lost Lagoon, and this is going to be full strength. So we'll do full strength Lost Lagoon, and we'll put the detail on top in black. Just like that. Cool. And now this sprig image, we're going to do that in Pretty Peacock. Let me just kind of set these aside. Oh, ink pads all over the place. If you could only see what's right there. It's a mess. Okay, here's Pretty Peacock, and we're going to need 3 of these leaves. So let's squish them in here. We have 1. I can get one down in here. 2. And look at that. We're just squeezing it all in. 3. Okay, so that is our stamping for this card. But while we have the ink pads out, let's go to our smalls bag. We're going to be using everything in here for this card. Okay. So this circle here is what we're going to stamp. And so what we'll be stamping is that happy birthday, okay? So keeping it easy, we'll stamp it in black. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. You could stamp it in black. You could stamp it in something else if you wanted. You know, if you wanted to use the Pretty Peacock, that would look good too. Okay, happy birthday. So I have happy birthday. I've got my images doubled up on blocks, and they're doubled up from one side to the other. Okay, so happy birthday, and this is just gonna go in the center, just like so. Okay, we'll let that dry, let that really set into that before we work with it. Now I do believe that is all of the stamping we have to do for this card. So again, all these pieces have a matching die cut. Okay, so you're going to grab that coordinating die cut and cut it out. So you'll need that one and that one. Okay, so pretend that's, you know, happening. Mine are already done. And then I told you that there were the 2 black pieces. So let's see, here's my tray, and I can gather all my pieces. So there's my 2 that we cut out of the black. Then here's my 3 sprigs, my trio leaf, there's my other sprig, and there's my other flower. Okay, so that's what we're using for this card. Plus we have some die cuts that I've added. So I want to talk about this paper here. This is called the soft shimmer paper. Oh, it's so pretty. This is Berry Burst. And then we have, from the nesting dies, we have a fresh Frisia hexagon and a basic white. Okay. And I think these are the smallest and the second smallest. Okay, so now let's go to all of our pieces here and start to assemble. The first thing we're gonna do is, let me do one for you. I'm gonna cut right through the flower and right to the stitching line, okay? And I'm gonna do that on each corner here. So clip these right to the corner on each of those corners. And now what we're going to do is we are going to bend these. I'm trying to think which way I did this. Okay, we're actually going to bend them backward. Okay, so we're going to bend them backwards right on that stitching line. Okay. Bend them backwards. That way when we flip this over, we have the front side of the die cut rather than the back side. Okay, so if you are prepping your stuff, I know Jacqueline was going to prep some stuff, poke all these little pieces out. I haven't done that yet. I'll have to poke them out later. Okay, so once you have all of those bended that way, then I'm just going to kind of flatten it so I can come in and use my bone folder to kind of give those a good crease. And you're going, what? I have folded it to the inside, to the front side. So there is the frame, and I've just kind of folded it outward. I've got this one little piece of white that's bugging me. Now I want you to kind of see this little edge right there, that very edge, it kind of sticks out and bugs me. So you know what I did, folks? I just went in and I chopped each one of those off on each side. They were just kind of hanging over and they just kind of look a little funky. So just chop them off if you don't like them. If you like them, if you're fine with them, keep them. But I'm chopping them off, if I could actually see them. Okay, there's two more here on this side. Yeah, that's better. It just looks better to me. So now you're going to take that and you're going to glue that to the front of your white card base. All right, easy as pie. Look at that. We got some cool dimension working here for us. So we'll flip this over. Okay, and we'll glue this on just like so. Okay, and I can see that I'm ever so slightly off, but you know what? It's handmade and it doesn't really matter. It's perfect. So there is that. Now we're going to open our card. And with our piece of DSP, so this piece of DSP is 4 by 5 1/4. Nothing crazy hard there. But again, I can read, there's something like the word parallel is right there. Just make sure that the text is facing the right direction. Okay, and we're going to center this. Easy as pie. And this card, we are actually going to work from the inside out, because once we have the inside done, then we can put the front stuff, the outside, on top of it and be sure that we're actually covering everything. Okay, so happy birthday. Let's put some dimensionals on this for sure. Actually, I think I put one right in the center. And I did that because I wanted to be able to tuck. I need to tuck some elements behind there. So we're gonna have ribbon that's gonna go back there. We're gonna have the happy birthday. And we're gonna have these 2 die cuts and then all 3 of these. So a lot of this stuff goes on the inside and the only thing going on the front is the flower and that stuff. Okay, so let's start with the ribbon because that needs to go down first. So kind of right here, I'm not all the way down in the center. I am centered from top to bottom. I'm sorry, I'm centered from side to side. I'm not centered from top to bottom. I'm just a little bit higher. And so in that in that spot where I'm kind of tapping my finger, I'm going to do a couple rows of Seal Plus. I like that. And we're going to do a little bit of a swoosh action here. So I'm going to give myself a loop, and I can barely see my stuff there. The nice thing about this technique when you're using using your Seal Plus is you can still pick this up and move it around. And the thing I want to do is just kind of make sure that when I close my card that I see my loops, that they're not totally underneath. And see how that one's underneath? I'm kind of okay with that because we're going to give it a trim. So we'll just give a trim there, and we'll give a trim there. And I can't believe I got it in the first shot. Usually I have to do it a couple times and move it around. But once you have that, then you can kind of rub that into the Seal Plus and make sure that it's really going to stick for you. And then we will add the happy birthday. Again, I'm centered from side to side, but I'm a little bit higher than low. And now we'll take these 2 pieces here. And so these 2 pieces are going to glue in here and here. And so I am going to just kind of swoop these off to the side for a second. And we're gonna open this. We're gonna kind of work off of that one so that we have our piece. And so I'm gonna glue this in there. And I'm just adding a little glue. And I only glue the bottoms because I like the tops to just kind of have their own natural dimension. And so that one's in there. I'm just giving a press to the happy birthday so that that stem will stick, if you know what I mean. So that it'll touch the paper and start to glue and set up. Same deal, we'll do the same thing on this side. Just slip that in there, give it a push. Good. Now the 3 leaves, and I'm gonna do these 3 leaves with a dimensional on the ends. That's kind of my, my modus operandi. I have a tendency to do, you know, so that I get some dimension, but I also get that sticking, but I don't want to glue the whole thing down. I like to have some life to it. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of these from the bottom, and then we'll do one from the top. Okay, so I'm going to tuck this one right in there. And then this is going to go right kind of between there. Let me close things. This one's getting a little hung up, so I'm going to just reposition it. Okay, I think we're good. We're good. So there's that side. Now for the front, I'm just going to kind of move this out of the way so I can center myself. Now I'm going to take this piece here, and this piece is going to bridge across, and it's going to cover that happy birthday right up. Okay, so let's glue just these edges. Okay, we'll cover up that happy birthday. We'll get that in the centered the best we can. And it might not cover everything, don't worry about that. We have other stuff going in that will cover it, but let's get that to cover. Now what you'll notice is it kind of sags a little bit. And so when I was making it, I'm like, oh, I really like how this bridges across. I like this layout, but I didn't like the way it was saggy. So that's why we are adding some other layers, and then that sag just kind of goes right away. It's kind of nice. So we're gonna add that, but before we do, I am going to punch out the word celebrate. So I've cut this word celebrate. We used these last month in our Zany Zoo class. These are the wanted to say dies. They're fabulous, but I really like this paper. It's one of the specialty papers. So pretty. Let's see if I can get this. I should have punched this out ahead of time, folks. Remind me for tomorrow night. Punch out your word celebrate. Because it really will come out. I just don't want to tear it, so I'm being really kind of gentle with it. So just kind of pop that out. There it goes. We'll get the little insides. Okay, we're getting there. Okay. Maybe we're getting there. Okay, note to self. I'm gonna pop mine out for tomorrow night. I'm gonna have it ready to go so that you're not having to wait for this during the Zoom. So mark that on your homework. Punch out the to celebrate. And it's mostly because I don't want it, like I say, I don't want to rip it in half. Okay. Hey, look at that. She finally did it. Now I got to do all the insides. And maybe I'll just take them out later. Or maybe I'll punch them out now. They're going fast. Faster. I like to kind of, you get them punched and then I kind of just sweep them away from the back. Like, get out of there. Okay, a couple more here. Sorry about the delay. I've got a fly buzzing around my head. I will be so glad when fly season is over. Do you guys have a fly season where you live? That's a good question. We have it because of all the farming. And, you know, it's coming to an end. All the corn there's tons of corn around here right now. And it's the corn that they're drying out, you know, taking it to seed. Okay, so enough about that. We're going to glue the word celebrate onto that fresh freezer hexagon. And I'm using my tiny little applicator. Love this little thing. And I'm just adding just tiny amounts of glue. Because if you add too much, it's going to come oozing out. So, just a little bit. And I guess you could put a adhesive backing on this, but sometimes the adhesive sheets on this, you can see them on the edges. You know, the little gray, and I don't always like that look. Okay, so just that tiny bit of glue, and we'll center that right on there. And yes, it kind of flows off the edge. I like that. Okay, now this little edge, if it doesn't catch, then sometimes what I do is I go to a scrap piece of paper, I put a tiny bit of glue on the edge, and I use it to kind of, you know, like I spatula it inside. Okay, this is gonna go on with dimensionals. So I'm gonna do 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, bring this over and set this right down in here. So just center that. Cool. Now we have our few die cuts here. They're getting caught underneath my pad here. Okay, so here's what I did. I did this just like in the first card, is I separated this just to give it a different look. It's so easy just to clip that apart. And I'm going to do a flower, and I'm not doing it straight on top. Okay, it is off to the side just a little bit. So I'm going to put a dimensional on this, just like so. And I'm going to reach it inside, and it's going to kind of sit off to the side just a little right there. But I need to make sure, oh, my dimensional shows. Shoot, queen. So we just pull this off real fast. Good thing it hasn't set up. And I'm just going to move it down a little bit. And now we'll set that back in there. It still kind of shows, but we're just going to shove it. Just shove it. Okay, I'm going to put I'm going to do the 2 leaves on top here. And tuck them in there like that. Make sure those dimensionals aren't showing. Good, pass that test. And let's do the same thing over here on this side. So basically now we've just kind of used the layers from the inside. Just, you know, our front pieces kind of, we're just kind of filling in this little negative space design-wise here. So this one's going to be off to this side, like that. And we'll do a leaf in here. I'm putting a mini on the edge, just like I have been, and as I always do. Okay, and we'll just kind of add this one right in here like so. Yeah. All right. So now we are close to being done. I mean, we have our ribbon work done. All that is done. Now we have some gems here to add on. And I think I forgot some gems on our very first card. I'll show you in just a second. As I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I have extras left over and I shouldn't. We use them all. Okay, so we're going to use look at how this Orchid Oasis just kind of matches this paper magically. Even though there isn't like a lot of Orchid Oasis in here, it's just taking on all the blues and the green tones and just coming to life. And so I am going to do one there on that flower. This is the Orchid Oasis color, and one there. And then I have 2 hanging out down there. And then I do have some more in here. And you can do this or you don't have to. On my originals here, I took these turquoise ones and I colored them with my Lost Lagoon Stampin' Blend, but you can't really even tell. So it's like, well, if you can't really tell, why are we doing it? But look how pretty that is. That Tahitian Tide just kind of becomes really pretty in here. Okay, so there's 2 there, and then I'm gonna do 2 kind of up in these little nooks over here. Okay, just like that. So we have gems everywhere. So they kind of peek through in some cases. And if you want that one to show more, it's like, well, maybe I could move it down a little bit, or I can completely hide it if I want. So maybe I'll do the same thing with this one. Just wiggle it a little bit so it shows. Okay, yeah, I like that. All right, so let's add some wink because we can and we love her. And I just did it on the flowers. And if you want to do some, you know, overall splattering, you can do that as well. And on this one, you can see I have some things I need to punch out still, but there it is. I love this look of kind of you know, creating that bridge across the frame, and then it hides our greeting on the inside. For this one, I felt like you could easily use the back of this card to write things down. Okay, there you have it, folks. We have finished, except for we're gonna do one last thing here. And oh man, I just totally knocked the camera here. So on our very first card, if you look at this one here, this is my original, I used the Parakeet Party to kind of really bring out some of this lemon lime twist. So let's add those gems, I mean, not gems, but pearls to our finished product here. So I have a couple here. 1 and 2. I knew we used them all, and then I didn't use them all. Okay, so we have those 2 there. And I did one kind of, well, I have one right in there, but it's not really going to show. But where did I put the others? We did 1, 2. We could do a 3rd in here. And then we can do one also kind of right down in here, like so. All right, so that way you've used them all up. Okay, there you have it. Let's just kind of bring these in. We have our fun fold. We have our classic layout. And we have our fun frame, kind of a bridge type, you know, decor coming across there. Hope you liked those. I think they are super, super fun. Use up those extra pieces of DSP that will be in your kit, and that will be fun for you. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is at 6:30 Mountain Time. And the number for Zoom is always the same, 901-771-5257. And the password is ink spots in all caps. Thanks, folks. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.